Philadelphia Eagles general manager Howie Roseman might just be warming up. You think he's done? You think the offseason checklist is complete? Absolutely not. This man is a wizard when it comes to navigating contracts, trades, and roster moves. And the most recent series of transactions only proves that the Eagles front office has something else up its sleeve. We're diving into a team that's already strong, but looking at the way Howie operates, he's never satisfied with good enough. After shipping Bryce Huff to the San Francisco 49ers in a move that opens the door for future flexibility, it's clear the Eagles are setting the table for something bigger. The trade compensation was up in the air at first, but now it's set. Philadelphia gets a fifth-round pick, which could upgrade to a fourth based on Huff's playing time and production in 2025. Beyond the pick, the Eagles cleared $2.44 million in cap space and save nearly $8 million in cash for next year. That's significant. Every dollar counts when you're trying to build a complete team, and Roseman just freed up not only cap space, but also a roster spot. Pair that with the recent post-June 1 releases of veterans like Darius Slay and James Bradbury, and you've got even more cap flexibility. An additional $6.4 million opened up, pushing Philadelphia to the middle of the league with $25.5 million in available space. That's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. That's ammo. That's the kind of cap room that lets you go after a game changer or plug multiple holes with savvy free agent deals. And if you've been paying attention, you know that Howie doesn't wait for opportunities. He creates them. So what does this all mean? It means Philadelphia is about to address one of the most important spots on the defense, the edge rusher position. Right now, that room is full of potential, but there are some major what-ifs. Nolan Smith, for example, made huge strides in year 2. He jumped from just 1 sack in his rookie campaign to 6.5 last season and added 4 more in the postseason. That's the kind of leap you love to see from a young pass rusher. He was disruptive, explosive, and played like a man with something to prove. But he's also had shoulder surgery after year 1 and then tore his triceps in the Super Bowl. 2 surgeries in 2 years is never ideal. And even though he's back on the practice field with a massive brace, those injury concerns don't go away easily. Then there's Jalen Hunt. He flashed big-time potential as a rookie, especially when Huff was dealing with a hand injury and couldn't play effectively with cast. Vic Fangio praised Hunt recently, noting how well he stepped up in those reps. When Huff was sidelined, it was Smith and Hunt who took over the majority of the snaps and made things happen. That kind of performance from a young player gives the Eagles coaching staff reason to believe he can make the leap from year 1 to year 2, but again, it's a projection. The sample size is still small. The Eagles also brought in Azeez Ojulari during free agency, a move that went under the radar, but could pay off big if he can stay on the field. He has 22 sacks in just 46 games and has 30 career starts under his belt. The talent is there, but he's been dealing with injuries, and consistency has been an issue. That same story applies to Josh Uche. He was electric in 2022, racking up 11.5 sacks under Bill Belichick's system. But since then, his sack numbers have plummeted, only 7 total over the last 2 seasons. His pass rush win rate is still solid, but the production drop-off is real, and at 26 years old, he's now at a career crossroads. All of this points to one thing. This edge group has potential, but it's far from a sure thing. If the Eagles had to play a game tomorrow, you'd likely see Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt as your starters, with Uche and Ojulari rotating in. Maybe Antoine Powell-Ryland earns some snaps too. He had a productive college career at both Florida and Virginia Tech. But here's the issue. If anyone in that group goes down, or if the young guys don't take that next step, the Eagles' pass rush could quickly go from promising to problematic. That's where the concern kicks in. You've already lost key contributors like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. Jordan Davis is being counted on to take a leap, and Jalen Carter is expected to continue his rise into one of the league's best interior defenders. Carter looks like a future superstar, no doubt, but it's a lot to ask of him and Davis to carry the entire defensive front, especially if the edge pressure starts to falter. That's why Howie might not be finished, and why people around the team are starting to wonder what his next move could be. Enter Trayvon Walker. According to Zach Berman, who's covered this team for years and has connections deep inside the organization, The edge rusher spot was already his biggest concern before the Huff trade. He wasn't expecting Huff to be a major contributor this season, so the trade didn't hurt the team's outlook, but it did shine a spotlight on just how thin the edge group is. He brought up a name that has serious weight: Trayvon Walker of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Walker is a different kind of player than some of the elite edge rushers we've talked about in recent months. He's not yet in the same category as Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, or Micah Parsons. But he brings something those guys don't: affordability and availability. Walker is still on his rookie deal and only 24 years old. He'll turn 25 in December. He's been improving every year and fits exactly what Fangio wants out of an edge rusher: physicality, discipline, run-stopping ability, and versatility. Walker was the #1 overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft for a reason. He's got elite traits: long arms, explosive burst, rare strength, and he's learning how to use them. In year 1, he had 3.5 sacks, 10 QB hits, 5 tackles for loss. In year 2, he doubled his output: 10 sacks, 19 QB hits, 10 tackles for loss. And in year 3, he stayed productive: 10.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, and over 50 pressures. He's not just improving, he's trending toward becoming a top-tier guy. Now think about this. He was part of that historic Georgia defense in 2021. You know the one: Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Khalil Ringo, all now in Philly. That defense was loaded with NFL talent, and the Eagles have been collecting those bulldogs like Pokemon. Walker would be another major piece from that core. That front four of Davis, Carter, Smith, and Walker, that's terrifying. And the chemistry is already there. Plus, it's not just about familiarity, it's about fit. Fangio's system values guys who could do multiple things. Walker can rush the passer and defend the run equally well. He's not a liability on early downs, and he doesn't have to be hidden on 3rd and long. You plug him in, and he makes your entire front 7 more versatile. So now the question is, could a trade actually happen? Jacksonville did pick up his 5th-year option, so he's under contract through 2026. But depending on how things shake out with their cap and their roster needs, there could be a window. And if there is, the Eagles are uniquely positioned to pounce. They have the cap space, they have the picks, and they have the vision. Roseman's always thinking a year or 2 ahead, and with the rising cost of elite defenders, this might be the perfect time to strike. And don't forget, Roseman values athletic traits at a premium. He's obsessed with relative athletic scores, RAS, during the draft process, and Walker's was nearly perfect, a 9.99. 6'5", 272 pounds, running a 4.5 140-yard dash. That's freakish. At a 35.5-inch vertical and a 10-foot-plus broad jump, and you're looking at a prototype. That kind of athleticism doesn't just help on the field, it signals a ceiling that's still not reached. So no, I don't think Howie Roseman is done. In fact, this might just be the setup. The cap space, the draft capital, the roster holes, it's all pointing to something big. Whether it's Walker or another splash move, you can bet that the Eagles' front office isn't sitting on its hands. They're plotting, they're evaluating, and they're getting ready to pounce. So if we're being real, if the Eagles were ever going to swing big for a player like Trayvon Walker, now would be the time. This is not just about filling a hole on the roster. This is about long-term vision, sustainability, building something dominant on defense, and doing it in a way that aligns with everything Howie Roseman has built over the past few years. It's about maintaining flexibility while still going all in on a window that is clearly wide open for another championship run. The way this roster is structured, the bulk of the offensive talent is already locked in long-term. Guys like Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Lane Johnson, and Dallas Goedert are under contract through at least 2028. That gives the Eagles breathing room. They don't have to stress about the offense. But the defense? That's where the real reshaping is happening. The departures this offseason weren't just random cap-clearing moves. They were strategic. Releasing aging veterans like Darius Slay and James Bradbury wasn't about talent. It was about timeline. The team is shifting toward a younger, faster, more dynamic defense, one that can grow together over the next 3 or 4 years. And if you're building that kind of core, You want as many high-upside players on rookie deals or affordable second contracts as possible. That's why trading for someone like Walker makes so much sense. He's only 24, still developing. And even if he commands a new contract in a year or two, it won't be anything close to what someone like Myles Garrett is getting. You're probably looking at $30 to $35 million per year, which sounds like a lot until you realize that's already becoming the going rate for top-end edge rushers. And that number is only going to go up with every passing season. Now here's the thing about Howie Roseman. He's never afraid to trade future assets if it helps him win now and later. The 2026 draft class is loaded with picks. The Eagles have their own first, their own second, 3 third-rounders, 2 fourths, at least 4 fifths, including the one they just acquired in the Huff deal, and their own 7th. That's a treasure chest. Most of those picks fall inside the first 5 rounds, which is where you typically find starting caliber talent. If you're another team in need of picks, that kind of package is hard to ignore. So if Jacksonville is even considering a shift in direction or simply trying to recoup draft value before they have to pay Walker, Philadelphia could present the perfect offer. There's another layer here that people aren't talking about enough. The Eagles coaching staff. With Vic Fangio now calling the shots on defense, the scheme is shifting to a more multiple front that requires versatility and mental sharpness from edge rushers. It's not just about getting sacks. It's about setting the edge, reading the backfield, dropping into coverage when needed, and making sound decisions every snap. That's exactly what Trayvon Walker does well. He's not one-dimensional. He's not just a speed guy or just a bull rusher. He's a well-rounded defender with athletic traits that fit the modern NFL perfectly. And Fangio knows how to get the most out of those types of players. You pair that with a DL room already full of Georgia alumni and guys who know each other's games inside and out, and it's not hard to imagine Walker fitting in right away. There's no learning curve from a culture standpoint. He already has relationships with Carter, Davis, Smith, and Dean. That's huge when you're trying to hit the ground running. Let's not forget the context of this division, either. The NFC East isn't exactly full of elite offensive lines right now. Washington is rebuilding. The Giants are in flux. Dallas still has some pieces, but they're aging. If you add Walker to this pass rush, you suddenly have a group that can dominate this division for the next 5 years. It's not just about making the playoffs. It's about getting the number 1 seed, hosting playoff games, making life miserable for quarterbacks week after week. That's the goal, and it's within reach. Now, you might be wondering what this means for the rest of the roster. Would adding Walker prevent the Eagles from addressing other needs? Not really. That's the beauty of what Howie has done. Because he's already front-loaded so many offensive contracts and cleared so much cap space going forward, he has flexibility. Even if Walker's extension eventually comes in around $30 million per year, it likely wouldn't kick in until 2026. By then, a lot of the current deals will either be off the books or restructured. The team will also benefit from continued increases in the salary cap. Every year, the cap goes up by 10 to 15 million, sometimes more. That gives elite front offices like Philly's the space to stay aggressive while other teams are forced to scale back. And let's be clear, the Eagles aren't just building for today. They're building for a future where they expect to be in the NFC Championship game every season. That's the standard now. Not 10 wins and a wild card spot. Not second place in the division. It's Super Bowl or bust, and Howie knows that staying in that conversation requires constant adaptation. We haven't even talked about what adding Walker would do for guys like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Think about it. If opposing offenses have to focus more attention on Walker's side, that frees up one-on-one opportunities for Carter to destroy guards and centers on the interior. Davis becomes even more effective against the run when there's chaos being created outside the tackles. It creates a domino effect. Pressure from the edge forces quick throws. That helps your corners. It helps your safeties. It helps the entire defense function at a higher level. That's why edge rushers are so valuable. They're force multipliers. This isn't speculation without substance either. The Eagles have been scouting this position hard all offseason. They've kicked the tires on multiple veterans. They've had internal conversations about other potential trade targets. And even though some of the big-name free agents like Zadarius Smith and Von Miller are still out there, going younger and higher ceiling might be the better long-term play. Walker gives you a chance to get in on the ground floor of something special. He's not even in his prime yet. You add him now, you develop him in your system, and in 2 years he might be one of the top 5 edge rushers in football. That's the upside. And look, nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Injuries happen. Players don't always progress. Sometimes schemes clash. But when you stack up all the factors, the age, the production, the fit, the cap situation, the draft capital, the Georgia connection, the needs on the roster, it's almost too perfect. It makes so much sense that it almost feels like it's already been discussed behind closed doors. And knowing Howie, that's probably not far off. This is the part of the offseason where contenders separate themselves. While other teams are sitting back, evaluating what they have, Philly is moving, adjusting, preparing. The Eagles aren't just trying to win the NFC East. They're trying to dominate the league. And the way you do that is by finding inefficiencies, spotting opportunities, and turning them into advantages. Trayvon Walker could be one of those advantages. A guy who still has room to grow, but who's already making noise. Someone who fits the timeline of your roster and the identity of your defense. Someone who doesn't just raise the floor, but pushes the ceiling even higher. So when we talk about what's next for this team, it's not about desperation. It's about aggression. Smart aggression. Calculated moves that put the Eagles in position to win not just this year, but for the next 5. That's what this front office is all about. And whether it's Walker or another surprise name, you can bet they're not done yet. This is a team with a plan. And that plan? It's coming together fast. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a stunning twist that has sent shockwaves through the NFL community, whispers are growing louder that the Philadelphia Eagles are preparing to make an unprecedented move, acquiring none other than Dallas Cowboys superstar linebacker Micah Parsons. Though nothing has been officially confirmed, multiple sources close to both organizations suggest that the Eagles' front office has been engaged in behind-the-scenes discussions that could culminate in one of the most sensational trades in recent league history. If true, this move would represent a seismic shift in the balance of power within the NFC East, as Parsons has been a cornerstone of the Cowboys' defense since entering the league. His combination of speed, power, and instinct has made him one of the most feared defenders in the NFL, earning All-Pro honors and cementing his status as a generational talent. For the Eagles to even entertain the possibility of prying him away from their most bitter divisional rival is almost unthinkable. Yet here we are, as speculation runs rampant. Sources indicate that the Eagles are willing to part with significant draft capital and possibly even a key player or two to bring Parsons to Philadelphia. The motivations for such an audacious move seem rooted in the franchise's win-now mentality, looking to reinforce their already formidable defense with an elite playmaker capable of elevating the team to Super Bowl contention. On the Cowboys' side, the rumors have sparked disbelief among fans and analysts alike. Why would Dallas even consider letting go of their defensive linchpin? Some insiders hint at possible contract disputes or internal tensions that could be driving this unlikely scenario, while others dismiss the speculation outright as pure fantasy fueled by off-season boredom. Regardless of its veracity, the rumor has ignited passionate debates across social media, sports radio, and television panels. Could the Eagles really pull off such a bold coup? Would the Cowboys ever consent to sending their brightest defensive star to a direct rival? For now, the NFL world waits with bated breath, eager to see whether this stunning possibility becomes reality or fades away as just another off-season mirage. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.